This week's parsha begins. This is the history of Noach. Noach was a righteous man, perfect in his generation. Noach walked with God. Midrash Rabbi explains why Noach's name is mentioned 3 times in the Pasuk, when one reference would have been sufficient. It is because Noach actually lived in 3 distinct worlds. There was Noach before the Mabel, before the flood, Noach during the Mabel, and Noach after the Mabel. Each was a different existence. When Rav Simcha Wasserman spoke after the Holocaust, he referenced this midrash saying, "I feel like Noach too. I was one Simcha before the war, another Simcha during the war, and now I am Simcha after the war." And I think we can relate to that experience. We lived in the world before October 7th. We lived through the subsequent war, and now Baruch Hashem, the live hostages are home, and Be'ezras Hashem, all the bodies should be returned soon. But what does it mean to be living after the war? The Haftarah that we read this week calls the flood Mei Noach, the waters of Noach. Why? What did Noach do to be blamed for this? The Zohar explains that he was convinced of the hopelessness of the situation, and so he neglected to pray for the salvation of the rest of the world. He didn't believe davening would help. But why? Why didn't he daven? When did Noach go into the ark? Only when it began to rain. Rashi says that he was makatne Emunah. He lacked Emunah. He didn't believe it would happen. But Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Meberditchev asks, he wavered in his faith? How could that be? He spent decades building the ark. He had conversations with Hashem. And Rabbi Levi Yitzchak says, it wasn't faith in Hashem that he lacked. It was faith in himself. He didn't believe that he could impact the world. He didn't believe he could make a difference. He didn't believe that his voice mattered. And the past few days I've been thinking about that a lot. After October 7th, I placed a sticky tab in my siddur in Shemona Esrei, where we say Matir Asurim, who releases the bound, and another sticky tab where it says Mekabetz Nidchei Amo Yisrael, who will gather the dispersed of his nation. Just a reminder for myself to have extra kavanah intent for the hostages when I say those words. And I've kept the sticky tabs in my siddur, and now I have the return of the hostages' bodies in mind. But I realized this week that the past week or so, I've been saying these words with a lot more kavanah than perhaps the past few months. Now don't get me wrong, Keva Yisrael, getting those bodies back is crucial, but why the increased kavanah now when the live hostages are home? And I think that perhaps after 2 years of davening, I began to believe that I can't make a difference. What are my words worth anyway? And when I saw the hostages returned, being discharged from hospital, seemingly healthy and whole in body and spirit, Be'ezras Hashem, I realized that my and every single one of yours, tefillahs, did that. We can make an impact. We can change the world. We make a difference. We're told that our Emunah will usher in the coming of Mashiach. Yet this is also the test of our generation. As Rabbi Nachman of Breslov wrote, that right before Mashiach comes, real Emunah will be so scarce. There will be true believers, but only one here and one there. But Baruch Hashem, we have seen a strong nation filled with Emunah for the past 2 years. We see hostage after hostage who held on to their faith, and others who found faith in the tunnels. And I'd like to suggest that perhaps what it refers to is not lack of Emunah in Hashem, but Emunah in ourselves, Emunah in who we are, what we are capable of. Do we believe in ourselves? And so perhaps living after the war means to live with that inherent knowledge of how great we are, what a difference we can and do make. Have a good Shabbos.